Greetings, fellow test subjects. Test subject 1337 here for Aperture Gaming. They make it, we test it, you play it. And welcome to my review of Psychonauts 2. I don't have a physical copy. I downloaded the PS4 version onto my PS5, so we got a lot to cover and little time to do it, so let's get into it. Series. The number 2 at the end of the title is both accurate and false. Accurate as in, yes, this is part of the series, so this is not a brand spanking new franchise. But also, here's what, after the first game, a couple of years ago, they released Psychonauts in the Rhombus of Ruin, a VR title, which kind of ties between the first game and the second game. So officially there are 3 titles in the series. And the cool thing is, the game actually acknowledges what has happened in the events of the Rhombus of Ruin, so it's not just a whole, non-existent side story, so that's cool. Team. This game is brought to you by the people who are good and fine, and so fine that they are called Fine twice. Double Fine Entertainment, who've been doing this, as the screen indicates, 20 years. Yes, and it's weird seeing the Xbox logo on my PlayStation 5 when I start the game. Speaking of things you see at the titles on the screen when you first start the game, check this out. I took a photo of this. Now, I think Double Fine knows how the world has been going through a very rough patch as of late, and how, while this game is meant to be, seen as for fun and entertainment, they do realize that some people may be going through some rough patches themselves. So they also, as you can see, indicate and give a link. So if you need help, there is help, and there is a way to find it and get help. So we hope that you can. So I'm playing the game and I'm enjoying it, but if you're playing the game and if there's some trouble and if you need help, please, if you need help, there's no problem with asking for help. It's good because you want to be able to enjoy the game and, the world around you. So please, be responsible and make sure you're doing all right out there. Plot. The plot of the game is it takes place right after the events of the first 2 games. Raz and company have just arrived at Psychonaut headquarters, and they're trying to figure out why Lily's father was kidnapped. And then, as this goes on, there's several other things that happen in the game. The fact that there may be a double agent inside the Psychonauts. Raz trying to deal with going from dealing with his camp mates to his fellow interns, and then things get turned up really crazy when his family shows up out of the blue. So things are going to get really interesting really fast. Gameplay controls. The gameplay is third-person platformer. The game, you can explore around a lot of areas, not just people's heads, but in the real world. There's Psychonaut headquarters. To name a few, Psychonaut headquarters, there's the adjacent areas around it, and then there's a campground nearby called the Questionable Area. I swear, if I see a guy in a fez with an eye patch who's trying to price gouge me into taking the tour, then I will know for a fact that Gravity Falls takes place in the same area. But in all seriousness, yeah, I think the people that made the Questionable Area may have also been talking about the Mystery Spot, which is where the Mystery Shack was based on. Anyway, yeah, so it's third-person platform where you fight people using your psychokinetic powers. You have new powers. You have some powers from the previous game, but you have some new ones for this one. And you are able to explore, collect, fetch quests, side quests aside from the main quest. So yeah, it's a really fun third-person platformer game of action adventure. Graphics. Since the first game came out 16 years ago, and so of course there's going to be a bit of a graphics improvement by then. 2 generations or 3 generations of systems. I'm speaking from the PlayStation perspective. The characters look interesting, so I'm trying to figure out if they based it on the old models or if they updated them a little bit. And that'll lead to something later on, but yeah, everything looks really good, and the game uses the entire color palette, so it's not just all gunmetal grays and bland. It's a very good visual effect, and everything looks really great. The way aside from the characters, there's the locations, the environment around them, everything looks great. Audio. Speaking of looking great, things also sound great. Richard Horvitz and the original, so let's see, there's like 5 people from the original game that are still if the Psychonauts Wikipedia is still up to date, then yes, all the characters from the original game are back and have reprised their roles. And aside from them, everything sounds really great with the sound of the environments, of all the side dialogues of all the characters. So everything sounds really great. And so does the environment and all the actions of the effects of your powers and the flap and the bonk and the... Yeah, so it sounds good, but again, we'll cover some aspects later on. Multiplayer. No, there is no multiplayer. DLC. Maybe? Aside from patch updates, which have happened, there's been no, like, content DLC, like outfits or powers or levels or other things. There could potentially be some DLC. I could see how they would work it, but right now, no, there's no DLC. I would like there to be some, so middle road, maybe. Issues. Okay, so there are some issues, and I'm not sure if it's on my end or on the game's end or in the uneven middle ground. The characters, when they were talking, there was some weird issue with the mouse and the audio not syncing up for some cutscenes, so I thought, I saw I only had 160 gigs of free space, so I took off some room to have it be over 200. I thought that helped a little bit, maybe, I'm not sure. And like I said, a recent patch update came out, so I guess there is some stuff going on that they have to fix visually and audioly. And like when I fought the first boss of the game, there was overlapping dialogue, and so there was overlapping dialogue, and like the boss was saying one set of lines, but then would instantly cut over to the next dialogue. So there's some stuff that needs to be worked on. So it has a few issues, but nothing game breaking. Buy, rent, or pass. If you're a fan of the first game, and if you were able to play the second one, I'd say yes, this game is a definitive buy. I myself, I haven't played in the Rhombus of Ruin, but I'm glad they acknowledge it, and if I get a chance, I will play it. But yeah, this game is a definite buy. Overall score. Yes, so I am a huge fan of this game. I was actually introduced to the series thanks to Zero Punctuation, who ranted and raved and gave it high scores for the first one. So it will be interesting to see how he rates this one. I'm gonna have to double check to see if he did a review for In the Rhombus of Ruin. If he didn't, then if he did, yay! And if you haven't played it yet or you can't play it, well, we are on YouTube, so I'm pretty sure you can watch footage of it somewhere. But yeah, so I give Psychonauts a 9.5 out of 10. It's an interesting series, and it'll be interesting to see if this is the last game or if there's other stuff that'll come afterwards. Alright, well that's all the time we have for this episode. Until next time, this has been Test Subject 1337 for Aperture Gaming saying thank you for watching, and as always, game on.